Sony Animation has been on the roll recently with hit after hit, but their streak has now ended with Fix now out on Netflix. It was supposed to come out a while ago, so it makes sense why it's not as good as their newer stuff, but it's very much an R-rated comedy, centered around a dog who's about to get neutered, so has to spend his last 24 hours doing what he can. Now the 2D animation looks absolutely beautiful. It makes you miss 2D animation. It makes you think, if 2D animation was still around today, what would it look like? Well, Fix shows exactly what it would look like. With its 4K quality, Fix has a really nice elaborate animation because it's 2D. It's bright, it's colorful, all because it's 2D. The 2D style of it only works for this movie. There's no way it would have worked for any other movie that came out from Sony. The 2D animation only works for this specific movie, for this specific tone, and this specific style. That's why they made it 2D. And it works perfectly. It matches the movie and looks great. Now all the voice actors do an incredible job. Even if a joke does not land, it's thanks to the voice actors that a joke can still work because their acting is so spot on. Everyone did an incredible job, and is one of my favorite parts of the movie is their acting skills. And it's because of them that I would say this movie is worth watching, although everything else pretty much bumps it down significantly. But it's thanks to the actors that this movie is 10 times more enjoyable than it would have been. If you casted anyone else and did not do this great of a job as these voice actors did, it would not have worked the same, and my score would have been significantly lower than it already is. But it's thanks to these voice actors that the movie is saved just a bit. And this is a comedy, and I can say that some jokes do land. Not all of them, but there is a portion at the end of the film that made me laughing the entire time. There are a few moments scattered throughout the rest of it, but it's mainly a segment at the end of it that I was laughing at. The rest of the movie, I'll get into that, but when a joke does land, it can be pretty funny. But I have not been hiding this. The movie did not work in the end. But real quick, if you want to help me reach my goal of 1K by the end of the year, consider subscribing. Let's continue. Now the problem with this movie is that it's trying to be so R-rated. It's not holding back anything and is really telling the audience, hey, this is an R-rated movie and we are not holding back. Most R-rated movies don't push the limits this much. But because this one's animated and studios feel like that when you have an R-rated animated comedy, you have to make it the grossest, most over-the-top R-rated comedy there is. I don't know why studios think that, but they obviously do. We get movies like Sausage Party, and because they're trying to make it so R-rated, it comes off as not funny. Because they're trying to make you laugh so hard that you're just not laughing because they're trying too hard to make you laugh. Every single joke in this movie, even the ones that I did find funny, were obviously pretty forced into this movie. It's very obvious they are forcing all this comedy in, trying to make it as R-rated as possible, forcing in every single joke to make sure this thing is R. And kind of unrelated, but not really, Sausage Party, I didn't like Sausage Party because of the main story they had. It was uninteresting, and that is the same case in here. You're watching a comedy about a dog that's about to get neutered. It's obviously a rated R comedy, but the movie's trying to make you care for the story, which, for a comedy like this, you're not really watching it for the story, you're watching it for the R-rated over-the-top comedy. So you have about 70% of this movie just focusing on the story. The dogs are cussing because it has to be rated R, but the first 70% of this movie is just focused on the story. There's almost no comedy in there because it's just building up this story. All the comedy is at the end of the film. The last 30% of the film is all that R-rated comedy, but the 70% is just the story with these dogs cursing. There's nothing in there that really screams rated R comedy, and since it's building up the story so much, and since you do not care for the story, you just don't care about this film. Some comedy saves it at the end, but overall the journey to get there was not worth it. When you're watching a comedy, you want a comedy. You don't care about the story. Now granted, there are a lot of comedies out there that still get the story right and the comedy. This is not one of them. So Fix is another R-rated animated movie that completely fails its job. It's trying to be too rated R, while only some jokes land because it's extremely forced in there. The animation is great, the voice acting's great, but everything else is not worth watching. But anyways, if you like this video, maybe these ones on the side and see you too. Like, subscribe, see you guys next time. Goodbye.